What's going on, YouTube? Your eyes do not deceive you. This is a new model in the Dodge lineup. And after living with it for the past 7 days, we have a lot to share with you about this new Hornet. So, did they hit it out of the park? Let's go ahead and find out. So when Dodge first announced this model, they said it would be the most powerful crossover under $30,000. Now they did miss the price objective ever so slightly, but the point still stands. This is a powerful vehicle for this size. We have a standard 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, 268 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque.
We have a 9-speed automatic transmission, all-wheel drive is standard equipment, and your fuel economy is rated at 24 miles a gallon combined.
Now, if you want something a little bit more efficient, for the 2024 model year, the RT plug-in hybrid variant will become available for the first time. We'll talk about that a little bit more when we go into our detailed test drive. On that drive, we're going to show you the performance of this powerful engine. We're going to get things like our sound level reading so we can compare to all this vehicle's rivals on carconfections.com. But first, let's close up the hood and take a look at this very sporty looking exterior design. Now, taking a look at the exterior, this is the place I think that's really gotten the most attention this week that we've been testing out the Hornet. A lot of people have been paying attention to this as it passes by, and not just because of the color, but also because this has that kind of European Tonale inspired exterior design. So you'll notice we have got this Dodge grille here. It's going to be in 3 different parts. You've got their badge right there, you've got a gloss black finish for the lower element, and you have some aggressive elements down here at the bottom as well. The other thing I think is really cool is the fact that we have hood vents on a crossover, so that's pretty neat for sure. Taking a look at our headlights, standard LED headlights on board. These are reflector LEDs. You do also have an LED turn signal indicator and daytime running light. No fog lights on board though. Now, even though Porsche was not part of the Stellantis merger a couple years ago, I'm definitely catching some Macan vibes back here.
Yeah, definitely. If you take this part off, it definitely looks like a Macan from this part up, which is certainly a good thing for an affordable vehicle like this. Really, the main reason it looks like a Porsche is because of the taillight design. So let's see if all the elements are LED. We do have an LED brake light portion, an LED reverse light. We also have an LED turn signal indicator. So all 3 elements are LED. Definitely happy to see that on an affordable SUV like this. Also, I do want to point out your Dodge logo here in the back is illuminated, which is a really cool look, and I like the full-length design that they've done here. And then dropping down to the lower area, for the GT model, it's going to be a little bit more tame than the RT. That plug-in hybrid RT model is going to get big exposed exhaust outlets and really kind of spice up the rear design with those exhaust pipes, as well as a more aggressive diffuser area. I think that looks a lot better, so definitely do consider that if you're shopping between the trim levels. As far as the tow rating is concerned, 2,000 pounds on all of the Hornet models.
Next up, let's talk about our wheel options. You have 3 choices, starting with 17-inch alloy wheels. When you go for the blacktop package like we have today, you get these 18-inch gloss black alloy wheels with some more gloss black elements throughout the rest of the exterior. And you also have 20-inch alloy wheels you can get, but you have to choose the track pack. That's for those of you who want to really put the ultimate smackdown on the HRVs around you. That gives you the bigger wheels, the bigger brake calipers, which are going to be red painted, as well as some suspension upgrades. We don't have that model, so we won't be testing that out today. This is one of the gloss black elements that I was talking about earlier. You have the Hornet branding. You also have gloss black finish to the top of the mirrors. And as far as your features, we do have standard heating as well as standard blind spot monitoring.
Now, some of you, including myself when we first got this vehicle, was a little bit confused as to what segment of vehicle this is and how long it is. It's 178 inches long, which actually places it more in line with the compacts class, like a Toyota RAV4 or Honda CR-V. However, when it comes to interior space, it's more in line with the subcompact class, like a Honda HR-V or Corolla Cross. Now, I do also want to talk about your safety systems when it comes to this Hornet model. They're including 3 out of your 4 active safety features as standard equipment. Additionally, the tech package on all of the models will further add adaptive cruise control. But guys, that wraps up the sting on the outside of this Hornet. Now let's check out the inside. But before, if you're new here, we're brothers and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We may be young, but we love cars.
and we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family. Let's learn a lot, have some fun with all the latest cars.
Now let's move on to the interior. First, as always, we'll take a look at our key fob. Typical Dodge key fob. You got the branding on that side. You do have remote start built into the fob if you choose a plus trim level. And to get inside, just grab behind the handle. That will unlock the door. And take a look inside of the cabin. Just like with the exterior, we have perhaps actually even more influence from the Alfa Romeo Tonale, which is pretty cool for, you know, a mainstream crossover. Let's talk about some material and color options first of all. So you are going to have standard cloth seating if you go for the base version of the GT or the RT. When you choose the plus versions, that's going to upgrade you to the leather that you see here. This is real leather. I think it feels quite nice and high quality. You have a lot of stitching details. You have Dodge branding up there in the headrest as well. And this comes in either this black or you can get a red if you want something with a little bit more color pop. Now, as far as the seats themselves, they are going to be 8-way power adjusting, or excuse me, it looks like we're going to have 10-way power adjustment on board with this model. Manual seats on the base model, and then the Plus will also come with the 3-person memory seating. But let's climb inside and dig into all the details. Now, closing up the door, you do have a cool animation that goes across the gauge cluster and the main display. And let's dig into the overall cabin materials. So you're going to find a nice mixture of materials. Over here on our door trim, we have a leather-covered armrest with a stitching detail. You have leather through the center section. It is going to be soft touch along the top. As you go to the upper dash, this will all be a soft touch plastic as well. We go down to the middle section, you have more leatherette with a stitching detail. And then when you go to the center section, this is where things get a little bit cheaper. No padding or anything along the console through here. But your push button start is going to be located conveniently right here within reach. Now heading into a first-person perspective for a closer look, let's start off with our gauges. This is a very premium element of this interior because we have 12.3-inch digital gauges as standard equipment. And these are very nice gauges. I love the graphics. You have several different choices, which you can get to by pushing the end of this stalk. Once I figured that out, as you can see, you've got a lot of different designs. Navigation sits there right in the middle. And overall, just very crisp and really nice looking. There's no head-up display. But as we pull back to the steering wheel, another very nice element. This is directly over from the Tonale. We have the leather-wrapped flat bottom steering wheel with nice bolsters up here at the top. Really feels very premium. You have the sport button located right there on the wheel itself. We do have manual tilt and telescoping adjustment. Heating is going to be on the Plus models. Now let's move on to interior storage. We're going to be doing something a little bit different today. So as I open up our center console here, we have little donuts. So we're going to see if this console fits in a dozen of our little stuffed animal donuts. So we got 2, 4, 6, and 7. So the Dodge Hornet is rated at 7 donuts. So not quite a dozen. Unless it fits a dozen, it's not going to pass the donut test. But one thing I do like about this is that it slides forward for easier reach while you're driving. Now you do have your 2 cup holders, nice and deep design. Up front, nice large storage bin with a wireless phone charging pad. You've got 3 connections up there in the front. Now as we pull back here, we do have a traditional style shifter. Just pull back for drive, bump to the left if you want to shift manually. There are no paddle shifters on the steering wheel though. When we go into reverse, you're going to find either a regular backup camera or this 360-degree camera system if you choose the technology package. That's what we have. You can, of course, change between some different angles right there. One thing I do want to point out, though, is that this side is rather laggy. It seems to be about a second behind when we're backing up or making any maneuvers. Of course, you do have an electronic parking brake located right next to that. And I do also want to point out that for 2024, parallel and perpendicular parking assist is included with that tech package. Now in front of your electronic parking brake is your volume knob, or roller I should say. This is going to control either a standard 6-speaker sound system or a 14-speaker Harman Kardon sound system on the Plus trim levels. That's what we have, and let's give it a sample. Overall, we've really enjoyed listening to this system this week. It's really a nice and punchy sounding sound system, and real metal speaker grills, you know I gotta point that out. All right, now coming over here to our climate controls, we have a dual zone automatic setup. This is standard equipment, nice and easy to adjust. When you make the adjustments, it appears in the display above. If you want to get into your heated and ventilated seat controls, those are going to be up here in the display exclusively. We do have both heated and ventilated seats here with the GT Plus. All right, now let's talk about the display itself. This is a 10.25-inch display. This is standard on all models, and it also has built-in navigation with the Plus trim levels. That's what that looks like. I was currently in the Android Auto interface, so you can see what that looks like. It does run wirelessly along with Apple CarPlay as well. Moving above, we have an auto dimming mirror. Your HomeLink remotes are going to be located in the visor itself. And normally, GT Plus models do come with a sunroof, but for whatever reason, this tester has the sunroof delete option. So we have a $625 credit, and we do not have a sunroof.
Now let's check out the rear seat area of this Hornet. Now, as far as the space is concerned back here, it's not a bad amount of space. 38 inches of legroom, 38 inches of headroom. The exact figure is 38.2 inches if you're really wanting to get down to the 10th of an inch. As far as behind your seating position, I'm 5'9", Drew's 5'8". We're sitting at about 5 inches of knee space. My feet can also slide up underneath the seat, so it's a decent amount of space back here, although it is going to, once again, be more in line with that subcompact class than it would be with the compact class. Now, the seats themselves are decently comfortable. I have a little bit of a thigh extension out here that juts in the rear. Do note that the seats do not recline, though. Now here in the center, we do have rear vents, which is a nice feature I like to see on vehicles in this price point. Also, we do have a USB-A, a USB-C port to keep things charged up. No heated rear seats are offered on the Hornet, so do keep that in mind. And let's turn to the door trim. The door trim is going to be as hard as it is for a Hellcat owner to fight the urge to do a burnout, because it's pretty much hard from top to bottom, but overall there is a little bit of padding down where my arm is going to rest, and then there is a little bottle storage down on the very bottom. Now walking up to the cargo area in the Hornet, we do have a hands-free power tailgate if you choose a Plus model. Now, standard on the GT model is a manual opening tailgate, but as you can see, we do have the hands-free opening one since we do have the Plus trim level. Now, as far as the space is concerned back here, 27 cubic feet of space behind the second row seats. With those folded down, you're looking at about 54 cubic feet as a maximum. If you choose that RT model, the upcoming plug-in hybrid, that's going to be about 50 cubic feet. So you lose about 5 cubic feet of maximum cargo capacity by choosing that version. Now, there are not any handles for me to fold the seats back here, so I'm going to have to go up to the second row to fold them down. And as you can see, they do fold 60-40 split folding. You also have a little bit of a pass-through if you don't want to fold them completely down. Now, let me get my measuring tape out and measure from the back of the seat back to the rear of the cargo area. We're sitting at about 64 inches of space, which does mean you're going to be shy of fitting an average adult-sized bicycle that's fully assembled in this cargo area, but you can still fit a lot of other things in here. And then as far as the width, we're sitting at about 40 inches wide for this Hornet. So a decent amount of space, but like I said, this is going to be more in line with a subcompact in terms of space than a compact vehicle. Now down below this, you have quite a bit of underfloor storage. I do not see a spare tire on this model though. Well guys, we're behind the wheel of the 2024 Dodge Hornet, and in this test drive we're going to be talking about a lot of different things, as you can see on the screen right now, including getting our signature sound level reading so you can see how quiet this is and compare it to some of the rivals. But first, we're going to start out with a hard acceleration, which is really a strong point for this Hornet.
Just like that. 60 miles per hour.
That's pretty quick.
It is pretty quick. Now, like I said at the spec dump, Dodge was advertising this as the most powerful crossover under $30,000. Well, the price tag ended up being about $31,000 some, but
Oh, wow.
Nevertheless, the point still stands. This is very powerful. You know, most crossovers this size are going to come with little tiny, low-powered 4-cylinder engines and go 0 to 60 in like 10 seconds. This goes 0 to 60 in just about 6 seconds. I think it's a little under 6 seconds according to Motor Trend. And that's because we have a standard 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, 268 horsepower, 295 pound-feet of torque.
Yeah, and you're also going to have all-wheel drive as standard equipment, so it really puts that power down impressively well for a vehicle in this segment. Really the closest thing that you can find that competes with the amount of power and how it puts it down would be the Mazda CX-30 Turbo, which is certainly a great thing to shoot for in this segment of vehicle.
The torque is really impressive with this. Really like that aspect.
I mean, it's definitely going to be a little crossover that puts a smile on your face. You know, if you really kind of hustle it around, it is a fun vehicle.
Yeah, for sure. Of course, you know, it's well documented that this is based off of the Alfa Romeo Tonale and it shares many characteristics, but I think that's one of the things that really stands out about it is the fact that when you're out on the road, you'll see that those kind of Italian roots do stand out in this American crossover. All right, so we're gonna head out onto a little bit of a country road now. I'll punch the sport mode as well. So in addition to being fast, this actually has, you know, pretty good performance as well when you're driving it down a road like this. We've had some fun this week because the steering has a nice heavy feel to it. You immediately notice that because, of course, you know, most crossovers are very lightweight, things like that. This one has a good heft to it, good feel as well. It's nice and responsive. Then as we go around a corner here, body roll is pretty well controlled. I wouldn't say it's quite as good as the CX-30 Turbo, but you know, it's pretty close. Those are definitely the two sportiest, you know, subcompact or compact SUVs, depending on what you want to categorize this as. But certainly a competitor, I think.
Nice.
So I want to talk about the other aspect of the powertrain. That's the transmission, of course. This has got a 9-speed automatic transmission on board. As far as the performance of this, it's pretty good. I will say it does have the tendency to have some rough shifts every now and then. So you might be, if you get it at an awkward time, you might feel that kind of clunk as it goes into gear.
Yeah, I honestly think it performs better the harder you drive it. When you're kind of driving around the city, it seems a little lost in what it wants to do, shifting gears. But here on the back road, you know, kind of driving it hard, I think it does kind of smoothen itself out. Now, as far as the how it's put to the ground, all-wheel drive is standard equipment, as I mentioned at the spec dump. The fuel economy is going to be 24 miles a gallon combined with this model. And I do want to mention that there is that RT plug-in hybrid. So that's a really unique thing about this vehicle. Very few options in this segment have a plug-in hybrid. This might be the only subcompact that has a plug-in hybrid, if I'm thinking correctly. But that is an option for you guys. Now, it is going to be a little bit pricey, so wait for the pricing section when I tell you that. But it's going to be a 1.3 liter turbo 4-cylinder plus a 15.5 kilowatt-hour battery pack. That's promising 288 horsepower, 383 pound-feet of torque, and an all-electric range of 32 miles. Now, we, of course, don't have the plug-in hybrid, or we would have done a real-world range test on this, but hopefully we'll sample that, and a little bit later. Maybe Dodge will send us one so we can do a range test on that and see how that is for you guys on the channel. But we do have our average fuel economy for this week, our real world fuel economy. I cannot say that word. We're sitting at 19.8 miles per gallon. We've gone 140 miles, gone through most of the tank of gas, about a quarter tank left. So a little bit under what the EPA is saying for this model, but that's not entirely surprising. That is typically what we get on our week-long tests.
Right.
So.
We drive a little bit more aggressively. Of course, we're showing off for you guys as well on the accelerations and stuff while we're doing the test here. So that we do typically get a little bit below the EPA estimate. Obviously, when you have a bigger engine, even though it's a smaller crossover, you're going to be getting worse fuel economy than a small engine.
All right, and now that we're just kind of cruising down the highway here, I do want to talk about your ride quality. This Hornet does have very good ride quality. I've been pretty impressed with it over the last 7 days that we've been driving it around. It soaks the bumps up pretty well. I wouldn't say it's the best thing in the segment, but it also doesn't really sacrifice a lot in the ride quality department for that sporty dynamic that you're getting with this vehicle. So I've been pretty happy with it, that's for sure. Now, the 20-inch wheels with the track pack, that might hinder your ride quality, but you do get adaptive dampers if you choose that model. But since we're cruising on our designated strip of road, I'm going to get our sound level reading, going 55 miles per hour, fan speed 1. .4 is our official Car Confections sound level reading. And what am I going to do? I'm going to go ahead and go to carconfections.com, because on carconfections.com I can sit here and compare the Dodge Hornet to all of its competition, because we do have all of those numbers posted on our website. So if you want to see all those numbers, you won't want to miss out on our website. And that definitely places it on the upper end of the subcompact segment.
So there's our auto start stop system working. This is not one of the ones that you won't notice, that's for sure. When it comes back on, it kind of gives you a jolt. Let's just say over the week we found out why Dodge puts the auto start stop off button right next to the start button. You just one push there, you can turn it on and turn that off immediately.
I guess it does save a little bit of gas, but not worth it.
Probably not worth it.
All right, now let's go ahead and talk about our Airball and Slam Dunk. We're in Kentucky after all, so Drew, what's our Slam Dunk?
So a Slam Dunk is going to be the engine. Having that standard power really stands out a lot and makes this really fun to drive.
Yeah, and as far as the Airball is concerned, I would just have to say, maybe the fact that this is like a tweener vehicle between segments, it's a bit expensive, especially for the subcompact segment. Also, for the compact segment, it's going to be on the smaller end when it comes to practicality in the cargo area and the rear seat area. So just something to keep in mind. It doesn't really fit into a segment very well, but for a lot of you guys, that might actually be a benefit, because most of the things in those two segments are not sporty at all. So this is that unique offering for you all.
Right. This is a vehicle, you're just going to have to know that this is what you want.
Yeah.
Because like Mason was saying, outside size like a compact, inside size like a subcompact, power is like a mid-size, price is...
It's a little odd.
Yeah, there's a lot going on here.
And lastly, here we're talking about the warranty. You have 3-year 36,000 miles as your basic warranty, 5-year 60,000 miles as your powertrain warranty. Dodge does not do complimentary maintenance. And let's talk pricing for the 2024 Hornet. So you're going to start a little over $30,000 for a base GT model, $30,735. Now, do keep in mind this does have all-wheel drive, and then GT Plus is $35,700, RT $40,900, and then RT Plus is going to start at middle $45,000 range. Now, if you want to fully load one of these babies out, it is going to be quite pricey. It tops out about $53,000, $54,000 for a Hornet, which I do think is a lot of money. But if you choose a more mainstream model like what we have today, it's sitting at around $40,000 as tested. And guys, that's where we're going to leave off on this in-depth review of the 2024 Dodge Hornet GT. If you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, we would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you help give us access to vehicles like this where we can test it out for a full 7 days and give you real-world impressions and fuel economy figures. All of that is made possible by you subscribing, so please go ahead and do that if you haven't already. If you already are a subscriber, thank you so much for your continued support, because you do make this all possible and we really appreciate it. If you haven't taken a second to go check out our TikTok and Instagram pages, we would really appreciate that, as well as checking out our all-new website, carconfections.com. We'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.